Thank you.
Do I wanna join audio?
No,
No, just click out of that.
otherwise it makes that awful noise.
Except I think we're hooked up with the phone.
Oh, yeah, we're so, with the,
Yeah, but now we're two.
Oh.
I did it two,
Okay,
instead of us.
I've reached my level of incompetence here
you're fine.
today. Today's the 25th of June, Tuesday.
Okay. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Let me pull up my agenda here.
Chris requested to pick Chelsea's brains. Like just verbatim. Feel that your notes are a little autistic.
A little bit. I have a hard time not, yeah, I have to be pretty precise.
Okay. So, Doug is not here. Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes?
I'm re-reviewing them. If I do them
Okay.
too early, then I forget all about them.
I know.
Yeah. I will move to approve the minutes.
I will second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then resolution 3655, authorization to submit CDBG planning grant for Red Lodge Area Community Foundation Housing Study, and it's a fraction on the main agenda tonight.
Yeah, so that one is just kind of like what you guys did before, the same exact thing. Like the one we did was the urban renewal one,
Right.
and this one, I literally just went in and took out urban renewal. So,
This is a pass-through.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, the community foundation is the one that's handling all of it. But since they're not a government entity, it has to go through us
Mhm.
for them. So it's just a pass-through.
Sounds pretty easy.
These ones are pretty easy, yeah.
Okay. Did you want to introduce that tonight, Chris?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, draft 24-25 budget, we have, a couple of different things that we, identified priorities for consideration when creating the budget. And then we also have the recycling center, update on current budget. And I guess, Sandy brought it to my attention, I guess, that we are supposed to do apparently an annual review on the recycling center, and then also an annual review on the short-term rental ordinance. So, I would like, I guess we can handle the budget part of it, but I really think Public Works should, you know, because you said Mike did a really good review of where the recycling center is at. So I don't know if Public Works wants to take up, you know, kind of just that part of it, other than the budget, you know.
Well, like,
Or-
I guess they kind of go hand in hand, but.
They do, yeah, so I don't know how you want, I mean, we could do both, but it's just Mike is in charge of it,
Yeah.
and I think that Public Works would be better, to, you know, to have his input and stuff.
Well, why don't we just add it to the next meeting, just review, you know, formal review of recycling,
Yeah, we can
where
add to
1 year later.
Yeah, I mean, we could review the budget.
Yeah.
Because I think Mike has like a breakdown of what we've received
Yeah.
from who, for as far as like the glass and,
Yeah, he
any
did a
other
really
recyclables.
good review on everything.
Yeah, and I want to compare it to our initial budget too, that
Yeah,
we put together, and just see if we're on track or not.
yeah, I know we didn't get as much money, carryover money as we thought,
Right.
No,
but we weren't really necessarily counting on that except to possibly buy some more, equipment.
Yeah, so we had budgeted 10,000, because that's what we thought we were gonna get cash in, but it was more like 6,000 is what we got from Recycle Red Lodge.
Mhm.
So, but we had plugged that 10,000 into capital, so it wasn't like we've spent that or anything. And I just pulled a quick report on like revenues. Well, I did expenditures too, but revenues. So we had budgeted for the recycling fee, so that $6 fee that
Okay.
everybody,
Yep.
we had estimated the revenue at $128,880. We've actually received to date, $138,615. So it was 9,700 more.
Where did that come from? Just a difference in the number of households, or?
Yeah, so if we had new accounts, you know, like Alpine was a big one, I don't think any of those accounts were, because we just took the number
Mhm.
of current accounts.
At this time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And so,
And that was a $6 fee?
yes, okay, yeah. So I think we're good as far as any kind of fee, you know, I don't think it needs to be readdressed as far as raising it.
Yeah, because we were kind of like, we're not going to raise it, we
No.
need to figure this out with that,
Without
just that.
Can you tell me
Yeah.
what the total, the actual was?
138,615.
Do you have, copies of those that we could have?
I can make copies.
Yep.
Okay. The only thing with solid waste, though, with the revenue part of it, it is kind of a combined for the whole fund. So you're gonna have the maintenance assessments, and those are the garbage fees that are on there. There's two different miscellaneous, and I think the miscellaneous revenue is the one for the recycling center. I didn't print what we had thought was gonna come in on that. I don't think that one is, for garbage. So that one, we estimated 1,500, and we got 3,500 on that one.
In things coming in, like
Miscellaneous
for,
revenues, but like I said, I
like
think,
aluminum, that stuff
Yeah,
that we
but I
actually make.
think Mike,
Make
'cause
money.
in my reports, it doesn't say who we got the money from, but I believe Mike has broke that out.
Okay.
That would be good, yeah, to have an actual, the budgeted versus the actual for the
Yeah, 'cause
year.
my miscellaneous revenues just gives me batch numbers,
Okay.
so it doesn't give me a breakdown of where that money came from.
Okay, well, I like that we actually collected almost $10,000 more with the $6 fee, because that will help offset if we have to, you know, increase wages and things like that, or,
Which.
Or if we do
will
buy a
happen.
glass crusher,
Yeah.
that doesn't, you know, when you need a matching fund.
yeah.
Yeah, and on the expenditure side of it, we budgeted $103,673, and currently we're at $72,698. So there's $30,000 still budget-wise anyway. But $19,000 of that was capital, and that was the $10,000 we thought we were gonna get in cash, and then $9,000 for the baler.
Right, and we didn't buy those.
No, we didn't buy a baler,
Yeah.
and we didn't get 10,000 in cash
Yeah.
either, so technically. So budget-wise, it's still sitting fine.
Okay.
So, because if you take out that 19,000, you've got 1,000 left in the budget, when you take out the capital part of it.
Okay.
So, for expenses, including wages. So, I mean, it's sustaining, it's not going in the hole.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It
if
would
we
be nice to look
received
at.
$138,000 with a $6 fee, and we spent 72, do you know how much more we have to spend? 'Cause that's a pretty big
I mean, is that
difference
something, can we
between our.
move them down to $5?
I know, that's what I'm like, people are gonna wanna know, I mean, we're creating a slush fund here, or, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I'll look at the, you know, actual versus budget, and then, maybe do some projections on,
Yeah.
maybe we could move it down to $5, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Just because
Can
of,
you send me that? Yeah, I can make copies of all.
That'd be great.
But like I said, just remember, solid waste is one fund,
Mhm.
and then recycling is its own separate account.
Yeah,
But these total numbers include garbage and recycling.
right, yeah,
These aren't broken out, so just take that when you,
right, and if Mike's broken it out better as well, you know.
not so much on the expenditure side of it.
Okay.
But on the,
Oh, I thought this was a pretty good breakdown.
Oh, maybe he did do the expenditures too.
Yeah, he did expenditures.
And I can help him update that with the most current stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
This
I mean,
was
we-
at the last sustainability board meeting.
I don't necessarily wanna lower it if we just have next year have to turn around and bump it up to 6 again, you know?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if we're absolutely collecting almost double what we need to, then, you know,
Time to address it.
time to address it. But if there's some expenses out there, or like a capital, you know, something, you know, Jim, when we were doing this, wanted to make sure we had enough extra in there to be able to maintain the equipment and, you know, have some set aside if we needed to buy.
Because like I said, we
New
didn't
equipment.
spend the money for the baler, which the
Right.
cash is there if we wanted to purchase one, but it'll roll over into next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for example's sake, the total cost of the lease for the baler was $4,613.
Could I get a copy of that too, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this was great, like, I was pumped on
Do
this.
you want me to?
And I did, you know, I did talk
Two-sided.
to, Ann and Kyle, and they're wondering, you know, what's going on, you know, in our part of the world
Mhm.
with them.
Yeah,
so
and
I
that will be
think-
another thing too, wages will increase in that fund. Like all, increase.
And so one thing they're actually looking at too, so Sustainability Board brought this up in the next sustainability meeting, we plan on having a representative from the public to see if we can actually get curbside recycling and what that cost would be. I think it's, you have utilized a lot more and do it a lot like our trash fees, and then we can also eliminate wages. and
How
stuff.
many years ago did we try the curbside? And it
Well,
didn't-
Republic Services had nets on the sides of their truck, and I think it worked really well, but then
They weren't.
they weren't recycling it, they were just throwing it away.
Yeah, and so we'll be having a conversation with the rep at the next sustainability board meeting,
Okay.
just,
With
Is
Republic
Billings,
or
does
what?
Billings have curbside?
Yeah.
yeah. They
Because then
just
maybe
started.
because maybe then they now have a stream for to put the recycling in.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be so hard for them to.
Exactly, and I think that's
The
what
right
it
thing.
is they now kind of have the infrastructure to do it.
So with that being said then, would they take the recycling all the way to Billings, or would they take it to our recycling center,
All the way to buildings.
all the way to Billings?
That's my
Okay.
impression.
So this
Okay.
was the idea to get rid of the current recycling center and just go curbside.
Go curbside. And I
Does
think
that apply to commercial as well?
that's one thing we'll have to find out, so. And again, I imagine we would still have our recycling center for certain items.
But then it comes down to the point of though, like, how much would it be utilized to pay someone to be there?
Right.
and
Yeah, I would drop
maintain-
mine off if someone was gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if I had pickup, I would
And
be
if
a
I
lot
had to,
more
and
keen.
if I had to pay, if I had to drive some and get some picked up, that wouldn't
I think
sit
for-
right either.
But for like big drop-offs, like for instance, me, like, we have a load of cardboard all the time. And we don't have a whole lot of time to actually go drop it off, so it just builds up until we actually take like an entire truckload.
Yeah.
I know, see, that's what happens to me.
Yeah.
It'll build up and build up and build up.
So if there's
And, I
not,
mean, you look at your cardboard that you have, I doubt that they would do it for businesses. There's, no way.
So that
so
might
if
be,
you go curbside, that would remove the $6 for people's, because then it will go actually in their garbage part of their bill.
Right.
But then you're looking at trying to sustain the recycling center with just memberships of commercial and non-city residents.
And I don't think that would.
I don't think it would
be-
sustain
It
itself
would
that way,
sustain itself.
because you would still have to pay employees to be down there.
Yep.
You still have to pay for the stuff to get hauled off, and I just don't see how memberships.
But you could take, does it say why take cardboard?
I think so.
I thought someone else took cardboard.
They take.
They
tin.
take metal and tin,
Yeah.
not cardboard.
Like I said, it's just something to keep in mind if that's the route that.
Yep. Again, we're just exploring that
Be a revenue
option.
stream for the Fairtrade Market. I'm sure you'd love to have more cardboard.
Believe it or not, many years ago,
I'm
we
kidding.
were doing business downtown, out of that location. We had a semi-trailer that we put glass and metal in and had it hauled to Billings. And it was a train wreck, so
Yeah,
we've been distributing reusable bags since the 80s.
Yeah.
And you know, I still have some at home that say Beartooth Food Farm. You may have heard of that.
I love that name.
I do.
But,
The food farm.
that was, we've attempted sustainability, I guess,
Yeah.
is the catchphrase now, for
Absolutely,
decades,
Mhm.
yes.
and it's a challenge. And there is no revenue stream.
I was totally joking about that. But it could be if you charge businesses.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely, worth the conversation, and we'll,
I think it'd get utilized a lot more, like, if it was curbside, and it'd be a lot more convenient for folks, and I think the community would utilize that and appreciate that more.
my only, concern is that they did it once before, and then they just stopped doing it,
Gotcha.
They did it because
and then we
they-
don't have a recycling center.
I think they did it partly because it was forced on them.
Yeah.
in Contract negotiation.
Yeah,
When was
And
it?
then when,
10 years ago?
yeah, because they had
Maybe
a
longer than that.
separate dumpster at our location just for plastics.
Yeah,
And when the recycling tanked, they were not slow to cancel all of that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was right around the same time that the city closed the recycling center.
Well,
It
let's
was
see
like-
what they say. I mean, if they're eager to do it and the price.
The biggest thing will be
Right.
the price, because
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they're going to do it cheaper than $6
Yeah,
a
I can't
month.
either.
No, though they're also going to plan on having a lot more that they'll be hauling down. You know,
Yeah.
it's just the difference of whether or not it's on the side of their truck in nets, or if they have, just one garbage truck for plastic and one for, I don't know, you
Yeah.
know, how they would
It
do
sounds
that.
like it has, like separate containers inside of it,
Oh, okay,
so you can collect different items. I mean, when I was a kid, it used to be like certain days of the month were certain items that you would recycle. So like, first Monday of the month was newspapers, second Monday of the month was plastic, third Monday of the month was glass.
yeah.
And that's how you did your recycling in our area for the curbside, which I always hated glass. It was super heavy and I'd always drop it and break some.
We could also, you know, maybe look at a hybrid. Maybe they take everything away from, our recycling center could be a transfer station.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I didn't know if you wanted that.
Just spitballing, but.
I think the concern that was raised is that if you're going to go for contracted curbside recycling, you're going to have to close your recycling center because it won't be sustainable.
Mhm.
So you gotta balance what you want.
Yeah,
Yep. I mean, I'd rather have recycling than no recycling center.
yeah.
That's easy and accessible and utilized. I just feel like half the community doesn't really get to utilize the facility.
Or they don't even know about it, so,
Yeah.
Need to be convenient or it won't get used.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lonnie, have you had any feedback from anybody? Like, have you had calls since I'm sure you did at first, like, what's this fee, but is it,
Yeah, not very many though, and I know the girls, when somebody comes in to sign up for services, like for a new home and stuff, even renters, that come in and question, even though they don't get put on the bills, but we do let them know
Yeah.
about the recycling center and stuff, and a lot of people are appreciative, and they're like, oh, we didn't know that, that's awesome,
Yeah.
so,
So how does a renter identify themselves as a recycling center?
a copy of the water bill in there, it can be in the,
But if the landlord pays that,
yeah.
like we do, then how do they identify themselves as a renter?
If they're getting a copy of the bill, if they're paying the bill, because a lot of times the renters will come in, set up ACHs, or they come in and pay the bill for the landlords. They still get emailed copies of the bill.
But I guess if you were a landlord, 'cause again, like we pay,
Mhm.
and so we could just send them a copy of that receipt so they could take it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or their Northwestern Energy bill will have their address on it too.
Mhm. I'm not quite
We
sure
also-
how
we also-
Anne's really checking that.
Do all that billing for them too, because
Oh, you do?
some have a hard time paying their bills. They have other things to do.
That's true.
Yeah, I see,
So they don't have any
we just lumped it
physical
in.
proof of.
Where they live? Their internet bill? I
I'm
don't
just
know.
curious.
Yeah,
Do
they
check for
just,
whether it's current?
And that's,
Or I gave them a copy of their,
yeah.
Anne's pretty good about, you know, if she doesn't recognize the person coming in or whatever, she checks usually everybody.
She's not, she's not afraid to ask
No,
questions.
She's not.
Yeah, 'cause that's one thing that I would like to explore a little bit down the road, and this is probably more of a public works sustainability board conversation, but again, trying to encourage short-term rentals to be able to recycle as well. So having like a pass that could be,
Mm-hmm.
like, you can just have a little card that hangs from your windshield, or it can be left at the properties. So then that way, people who are here feel like they can go and recycle, because that's a big thing for a lot of renters, but they'd like to be able to recycle. And we don't necessarily have the ability to do collections and drop-offs for 24 properties. So,
Do you guys have like separate bins, like recycle bin and a garbage bin at?
some of the
rentals?
properties we do, but again, there's nothing, we can't really do anything about it. Like, we just don't have the time
Mhm.
to even do our own recycling, let alone all of that recycling. We don't have the facility for it, the capacity,
Oh, to hold it and stuff,
to
yeah.
hold it and store it and then take it all in. and
Make
then
sure it's all clean.
Right, 'cause I mean, I don't need to be pulling everybody's
how-
wine bottles.
I know, AAA does recycling, I wonder how they do it. They feed Jen with her truck full all the time.
But they
They probably have more
than me.
people, they probably have more people that they're staffing too, maybe.
Yeah, they have more owners, so like they're a partnership of 4 versus it's just me and Tony.
Yeah.
And it's be a lot for the two of us. So,
Well, I think, are we, I guess, to have Public Works do the presentation then?
Yeah,
Mike?
I'll put it on the next
Okay.
July agenda, and then,
Okay.
when is the next sustainability board? I would love to come to that one and just hear what Republic has to say.
let's see, I wrote it down, I think. Oh, I think it's like July.
I was gonna say July 1st.
Yeah, because I was very hesitant to schedule that meeting.
Oh,
Rodeo that night.
Yeah.
July 1st?
Yeah, the bull riding.
Yep,
Extreme Bowls is July 1st.
yeah.
Their sustainability board's at 4 though.
Oh.
It's an early meeting.
Yeah.
It's like 4 to 5.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, I told him, like, you get a 50-50 chance that I'm showing up, like.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's more so I'm gonna be working like crazy.
I know, it's like, I'm not doing anything that week except work.
July, I'll see if I can,
Zoom in.
oh, wait, what time is it?
Or,
4? Okay, I'll try, I'll see if Michael can cover me for that.
I know Alan's actually gonna be here for that meeting too. Be in town.
okay. Yeah, I just think in our presentation, you know, however you guys want to do it, but the main thing is, it's just to, I think our idea was to review what we're charging people, you know, the expenses, the services we're still offering, revenue coming in,
Anticipated expenses.
yeah.
Yep.
And, future plans, you know, the glass crusher or, you know, looking into the curbside recycling, those are all options on the table coming up.
And I will say with the glass crusher, Mike reached out to Livingston because they have one.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not go well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like they didn't have the facilities to keep it safe because there's a lot of fumes. They were able to maintain those facilities. All the glass that they had crushed and put out on trails, they had several claims because dogs' paws were getting cut. Like, yeah, it doesn't sound like, they're like, it just is a paperweight for us now. We don't use it.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound super optimistic for a glass crusher, but I was at first, and now I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
boo.
thanks for that update.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, that was always my concern, is us taking back the recycling center, is that eventually you just, certain
It
things
goes away.
it goes away, piece by
But if
piece,
we're,
you
I mean,
know?
if we're below our budget, I think it's a moot point, like,
Yeah.
let's just keep doing it as we are doing it then, even though it's
Yeah.
the most expensive thing.
Right.
It is a, like, super visible thing, and then it's something unique that Red Lodge offers that not many communities do either.
All right, so we'll leave that in Public Works hands. And, if you're ready, just, are you the, chair of that committee, right? So just let Dave know when you have something to bring to council.
Yep.
That'd be great. Okay, so on the, budget, do you have any updates on that? I see the library is coming tonight to do their presentation.
Yeah, which I updated hers on the library budget from the one that I sent you guys. Namely, there was an insurance change on one of the employees, and then, I think that was it. Oh, and then what I printed out for her gave her, the expenditures on that budget sheet through those, so through pretty much all of June, so she can kind of, so I don't know if she was gonna present that, I'm not quite sure what she's doing for her presentation, but, yeah, she will be doing hers tonight. Dave kind of tentatively gave the rest of us department heads dates, but I had to, we've got to kind of tweak it a little bit because he has a presentation on the night that the budget's supposed to be approved. So, yeah, so we're gonna have to squeeze, like my department, I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna present mine. I'm gonna be like employees and supplies.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all mine.
Well, yours hasn't really changed from last year. You know, it's not really that
No,
different.
and so
It's,
I may, but we'll see. So,
Get a pass.
so that's all I know. You and I met with, and the mayor met with the police union on their
yeah.
request, so I'm plugging those numbers, and I will do that today. And the police budget then will be updated. And then I might just send out the new updated one, because it'll definitely change the bottom line number on the general fund.
Public Works come to agreements yet?
Why, they haven't gotten a meeting, well,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I haven't been to one, and I know that they were gonna try and finalize it via email.
then there are some things though that the mayor needs to bring up with the union that is the light after.
Okay.
So, not wage-wise, but
Yep.
other things within,
Personnel.
yeah. So, but I don't know where they are with that. So hopefully something happens sooner than later, because
Yeah,
it would be really nice to get this budget kind of finalized.
Yep.
But I'll be able to work on revenues here, well, I don't know about next week, with it being the 4th, and we have a very short week next week, but
Yeah,
we're-
do you guys have just the 4th off, or do you have the
we're
3rd?
using our floater holiday for the 5th.
Okay, so you'll have a
We'll
full
have
day.
4th and 5th off. So, and we won't have all the revenues entered in yet for June by next week. So the second week in July, I should be able to really plug out the revenue side of it to get a better estimate of,
the quarterlies will be coming in, and also last minute people like me putting in their registrations.
And I haven't paid mine yet either.
so, like I
I
said,
sent mine in.
we're still plugging away.
I'm waiting for fire inspections, so I'll come back, so.
So we're still plugging away on it, and hopefully, I'll talk to Dave about when I update the police one, about sending that out to everybody, just so they can be aware of what, the increase on that one. Because I don't know, am I figuring in a quarter for an officer? Because that has not been plugged into there either. I didn't know how your guys' was like, if you want, so.
That is the plan, would be, if this goes through with the school resource officer, the city would be paying for 25% of the school resource officer, and the school resource officer would be available to the city, you know, when they're not working at the school, which is basically the summer months when we're really busy as patrol officer. And of course, if there's a huge, emergency type situation or, you know, that happens within the city, they'd be available to the city at
That's
any
a nice
time
benefit.
at that, yeah. So,
So there will be, a city employee and we will just
yeah,
be reimbursed
from
by
the,
district.
and that's my understanding, yes. It would be 100% a city employee, so they get the benefits and, retirement, but the school would reimburse us 75%.
Okay. The other thing on the budget, I don't know where we stand on the fire. Resort tax committee had their meeting, but, I don't know where that's at either with the 80,000.
Yeah,
So-
the mayor was going to, meet with Tom
After his budget meeting
after
that
his
night.
budget meeting that night, and I have not heard how
I
that
don't think
went.
they have, and don't take my word on this, but with the mayor working through
Yeah.
this week with this other stuff, unless he's doing it in the evening this week, I'm not sure. Yeah, and I know he wanted me to sit in with Dave, or with Tom as
Right.
well, so that we're all on the same page with the auditors.
Right.
So that's also in limbo. I don't know as far as with the library either. I don't know how he's doing that. So those are all what it's been paying us.
Okay.
That's all I got on budget.
So, but the library budget is updated the way that the library wants it, but not,
So the way the library budget is currently is how it has been for 3 years with the 7 mil.
okay.
So she based it off of last year's, numbers. And then, of course, there's the increases with, salaries and stuff, so. Oh, yeah, that's.
And are these the last more
These
stable
are-
of
yeah,
the
for-
fiscal year?
So in August, there will be some stragglers, but
In August?
majority of them, or July.
Oh, okay, how's it,
In July, so
Okay.
there'll be like
that you can backdate? Okay.
Well, we're accrual, so if it's due, if it's an invoice,
so when I go to do them, I can, put them into June.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it was accrued, the expense was accrued in June, so you can pay it in July and it'll go against last year's budget.
Yeah, cool.
Because
Yeah.
we're accrual based.
Great.
So, but there shouldn't be a whole lot of them in July, but there are always a few. But there's like, I don't know, this is a lot for the second one, there's like 50 claims in there, so, which means everybody got me their receipts, well, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So, library is this time, did they give you a schedule of when everyone is?
I'll probably tentative one,
Okay.
let me look. Looks like the first one in July will be Public Works, second one in July will be Police. And then he had the 13th as mine and the 27th as his and Resort Tax. But like I said, him and I need to get together to figure out, we might just bump up that one to the.
Yeah, well, resort tax is kind of part of,
Public Works, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I would hope Public Works would be discussing what they're spending the resort tax on, and the police would be discussing what they're spending the resort tax on. It's all part of
And
their
then
budget.
that's pretty much all the budget other than a few.
I don't think we even need one then. If they do it that way, because Public Works would also be parks,
Mhm.
we'll
Yeah,
just need
so
like a
resort
whole
taxes-
2-hour meeting for
Yeah.
Mike to talk about.
Right, so we've got Parks, Streets, Pool,
Yeah,
this is all Public Works.
it's all Public Works, yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the biggest part of our budget,
So that's the,
because he's got water, sewer, he's got everything. So, and he's got, yeah, and he's also got garbage and recycling, so, you know.
so that his will be definitely a lot longer.
But
But
maybe
like
we can schedule the recycling center that same, well, that'd be the first meeting in July, maybe we can do that all at the same time, depending on what else is on that agenda.
And maybe he
All
can
together.
just include it within his presentation.
Yeah,
That's the thing, I think he's got a pretty good handle on it,
yeah.
so I think once we get that presentation from him, that can basically be our assessment too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was put in there as a kind of a stopgap. If all of a sudden it's gonna be $10 this year instead of $6.
Right.
We had, council has the ability to say, yeah, we're reviewing this and that's not okay.
Right. Or if it is like,
Or,
again,
yeah.
where we have an overage, where it's like, okay, now we can bring it down.
Yeah.
I would like to do a formal review
Okay.
at a city council meeting, maybe like, if we look at it, first Public Works meeting of July, maybe do a
Okay.
presentation
The
the
following.
second weekend.
And I think it'd be good to
Second week of
bring
July.
some of the employees in too, just to get their feedback.
Yeah, I think they feel like they are not involved in anything, because every time I go there, they are like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think we should invite them maybe to our first Public Works meeting in July. And then that way we can have a presentation ready for the second. And they can be invited to that as well, just so they can kind of have that voice there and see
Yeah.
how it's going and
Yep.
what they need, those types of pieces that they've been hearing, because they're obviously our frontline.
Well, and Anne's running for, city council too, so she would probably love to get in, I mean, she's already been on city council previously, but I'm sure she'd love to meet the players
Yeah, sure. Be great.
currently.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't turn off my agenda here.
I have
Okay. Oh, that's okay, I've got it on my phone here. I just have to keep, it goes to sleep. Okay, so are we good on budget now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks for
so,
the info.
yes, thank you.
And Chelsea too.
So,
Thank you.
the short-term rental ordinance and business registration, Sure. Yeah. Because there again, we also need to do an annual review on that. And I think.
I did send you that email, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Is this your last official day on the committee, or was that last time?
That's last time, I'm just here, that's why I'm not at the table.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Happy to be here. It was a beautiful morning, I woke up at 6 and I was alive and alert.
Okay.
Alive and alert.
Okay, that's okay. So, we do need to do an annual review, I guess, of this as well. But to me, with the in-depth cleanup that we're doing on both the business registration and short-term rental ordinance, I think, you know, that will be our review because we're gonna go through things. But I think council really just probably wants to know where we're at with the cap.
And the public.
And the public, yeah. Yeah, the public. But as we, clean up the ordinance and with the categories, you know, that may change some of our cap a little bit too.
Yeah.
Or at least,
I think it's good to do like an as-is analysis, and
Okay.
then like these
Yeah.
are some of the changes that we are proposing.
Yeah.
And, one thing I would like to know, like, in terms of review stuff, one, like, how many hotline calls, because I know the hotline was a thing.
oh, yeah.
How much fluctuation we've seen in terms of like, these have dropped, these have added, like, it'd be kind of interesting to see that stat, of, like,
Right. 'Cause
how many people.
Yeah.
last year, a lot of it was bringing people online and into compliance, you know,
Mhm.
but how many do we really get since then, you know, how many have we really gotten since then, since we've really got everybody into compliance, and how many?
I mean, we could do like a
have we
then and
lost?
now sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, then,
Right. And,
Even resort tax would be a good one.
yeah. How much we brought in.
Mm-hmm.
I also, in our short-term rental ordinance, I don't think it addresses this, because we don't really have that many of them out there. But I think most of the short-term rentals require at least a 2-night stay, is that correct?
Sometimes.
Depends, okay.
So generally speaking, a lot of folks do require night stays.
Okay,
For us, we open up some of our smaller properties
okay,
to one nights after a certain time lapse. Like, so within 14 days of that time frame, if it's not booked, we do open it up for one night, just to encourage last minute folks that are coming in for a wedding, people who wanna ski and stay and don't necessarily need to be here for the whole weekend kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but again, it just varies. It's all personal preference based off who's managing.
okay,
I mean, there's some folks that require 7 nights,
yeah.
and some HOAs up at the golf course require at least 7 nights, some require 14. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't think it's addressed in our ordinance, but I don't think it
Yeah.
necessarily needs to be either.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure how that worked.
Yeah, it was something that was brought up during the committee meeting and requiring like certain minimums or 7-night
Mhm.
minimums, something like that.
Well, I think it kind of makes the difference between a short-term rental versus a hotel.
Mhm.
You know, if you're allowing night by night, like single night stays, then you are really in direct competition with a motel, because they,
Kind of,
you know,
but at
I
the
mean,
same time,
kind
with
of
how
look at it
those
that way.
fees line out, like,
yeah.
because that's the thing, they're still having to pay the same cleaning fee, they're still having to pay insurance, taxes, all of those fees, like, so for someone who wants to book a hotel room for $80 a night, my little cottage.
Where do you get an $80 hotel room here?
That's fair, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, wait, what?
Call it $115 a night. So our little place, Craftsman Cottage, that's 600 square foot, like, we rent that out for single nights within 14 days. And it's still gonna be pushing around $250, like, even during the slowest of times, because generally those fees almost add up to a full night rental. So I don't think it necessarily puts
And
it.
you charge those fees per stay, not per night.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of them are per night, so like T-bid, that's a per night one.
Right, yeah.
Insurance, that is per stay. Taxes are obviously just based off the total, and then cleaning fee, that's per stay. And we don't do reduced rates for, it costs us the same to have a cleaner come in if you're here for one night or 2 weeks, so.
All right, good to know. Danae, do you know where we're at on the caps yet, right now? I know you'd sent that out like a month ago. Have you had a lot more, applicants since, when was that, March, that we had that discussion?
I think we had a couple pending, at that point in time. I would have to see if we brought all of them on, but no, I don't, I'd have to run.
So we're kind of holding steady with our number then, now that everybody's been brought on?
Well, we're doing renewals right now, so like our focus is
Right.
So this,
renewing.
this review might
renewing them.
be better to do after everybody's renewed.
Yeah, so we're doing all of our business renewals and our short-term rentals right now. They all renew right now. Yep. So
Okay,
it takes a lot of our focus to
Mhm.
do that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, no, that's good to know. So maybe we do this, in our August meeting, because you'll probably have a better idea then of where we're
Yeah.
at.
Yep.
Catch some of the stragglers too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. It'll give us a better idea of who's coming in the new year. From what I've seen, we're losing people in the new year. They're deciding either to sell or it's not the best option for them. So that
Okay.
would be interesting to see
Well, there was
where
kind of
that
that,
number.
that grab, like, oh my God, they're all gonna go away, so a lot of people probably just
Yeah.
applied,
Yep.
and then.
So that was one thing that we talked about. It'll
Right.
be interesting to see if the market stabilizes as far as short-term rentals, in the new year. We kind of saw that in November, that things were kind of, staying pretty steady. The ones that came on, we had some falling off. Now summer's here, and then that's when the market is a little bit more active as far as like sales of properties go, and people are selling and wanting to turn them into short-term rentals. So it'll be interesting to see if that number is still
Right.
stable.
No, did we pass this in September, or was it August last year? I can't remember.
It was,
August.
it was.
August 22nd.
Okay. So even if we do this at our first meeting in September, we'll have a full year under our belt,
Yeah.
so.
And it'd be good to see, again, like, end of August, kind of with that, again,
Yeah.
the summer tape off. Because
Yeah.
I know that September is the deadline for getting that registration finalized.
Yeah, okay. Perfect, okay. Yeah, and then I'm good with the changes that we've made with everything. Danae, have you had a chance to review?
Yeah, so I've gone over what you, kind of, sent over, and, I like the way that you set it up, so it looks
Okay.
really good. I haven't had a lot of time to, like,
Right.
really just kind of think about, like, the process as a whole of, like, the changes that we're making, how in the long term that might affect it. But so far, all the changes that you brought up, I really like. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess just timing wise, to get the ball rolling and get these all,
Yeah.
especially, you know,
Are
the
we
fact that,
talking 963, or are we talking?
We're now to the registration
907,
piece.
oh, registrations, okay.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Sorry.
both, you know, what we're doing
Yeah,
with both of
they
them.
correlate, yep.
Because
Yeah.
they correlated, like to have them both at the same city council meeting, you know, for introduction. I just don't know if we're ready to go public yet, or if we need to make more changes, or, you know, how do you guys feel about that for both of them?
Give me a chance to stab at, I think I've already done a stab at 963, but now with this change, let me look at it one more time.
Okay,
Because I think, again, some of this stuff, like right here, section 6, that will change or
okay.
go, like, some of this is just gonna go away. And then we'll just have to change where it says licenses versus registration.
And we also need to codify it.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
that, it's not codified yet,
Yeah.
honestly, so it's really,
Short-term rental.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the short-term rental is not codified, so anything we do, we have to make sure we,
Yeah.
Why is that? Just because we knew we were gonna
See, that-
review it?
no,
It was
we
just-
we
It
did,
didn't include where in the code that it was supposed to
what,
be.
yeah, where it was
Okay.
supposed to be.
Or.
Are we creating a new section,
Okay.
or is it just a subsection, or, you know, in the municipal code, because that's basically,
Where does this come in? So just registration?
So the business registration stuff is in code.
Well, it's not this
The
one.
the short-term rental stuff,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
So
that
it would be its own thing.
It would probably be in part of the public health and safety, because that's the reason why they did it. So,
And that might be a Dennison question.
yeah,
To
but that was,
figure
the
out
goal
where-
of it was for public health and safety, so honestly, that's where it probably needs to go.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that that ordinance is guiding us in the 907.
Yep.
Which I found it kind of hard to do the two, so since we're,
Yep.
you know, looking at that, to make sure that the original short-term rental ordinance is gonna guide ordinance 907 and
Yep.
how we're implementing it.
And then one thing we'll need to do is update the applications as well. Yeah, so I can take a stab at that if you'd like.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, so.
Can you send me an editable one?
Yeah.
You've updated the business.
I've updated the business registration, which is in PDF, so that's not really, I mean,
I
it's
can copy paste
editable.
probably.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I have PDF writer, or like creator, so
I do too. So,
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Not a lot of people have that, so. it's
Oh,
not
yeah, no, I got the whole Adobe suite, baby.
All
So, not too-
$17,000 worth?
Oh, my God, yeah, it's not cheap, but it's totally worth it.
No. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to, again, you know, maybe a September thing.
Yeah.
For all of this.
Yeah, and then, yeah,
So is it
I
gonna go to
apologize, because I
public
brought it up
safety or
and I
stay in
haven't
admin?
had time to work on it.
Or conjunction, or
It'll stay in admin.
okay.
But in the municipal code, it will go into public safety.
Okay.
So, because that's part of it. And then, as far as the business registrations, I know, Renee, that you guys have been working with Brian on the, short-term vendors and because apparently there's some type of permit that they also have to get in addition to the business registration,
Yeah, temporary use.
a temporary use permit. And I didn't realize that, so I thought they could just get a business registration as a short-term vendor, but apparently there's also a temporary use.
Yes, we should have that in there too. We were gonna do that and maybe some planning, is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Or do we wanna
I
keep
thought
it
Brian
here?
was gonna, yeah.
No, Brian has been working on it
Okay,
and stuff, yeah. So, I mean, if it's going in line with planning, but I just think we need to also,
But that wouldn't fall under business registration, so.
no, but I think it needs to be as part of the application so they know they have to fill it out. Or maybe it's a
Yeah, I
combined thing so that they're not filling out two different applications.
It is, in my opinion, I definitely see how they correlate. It's kind of like a sign permit. You know, like if somebody comes to town, they do have to fill out a separate application. So what I did on the business registration is I modified, the application. So at the bottom of it, it goes through the review of the building inspector, the planning department, and myself. So that all of those departments have the ability to review my registration application to ensure that they have completed the things necessary for their departments as well. And so I don't know if that's the right answer, but that is what I did to try and,
Because a temporary use permit is through planning, it's not
Okay.
through.
It's
Not
just, you know, they come in for a business registration and then they find out they need a whole nother application filled out.
yes,
But specifically, this has been with the short-term vendors, the food
Yeah.
trucks, the trailers and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Because they have to pay for a temporary use permit as well.
yes.
Well, I mean, it's a lot like with the short terms where it's like you still have to get inspections and that stuff
Right.
too.
But it's
So-
all together when you come in at one deal, you know what you have to do.
Yeah, so I think
So
just having
we
like a
just have to
little
have it
cover
all together,
letter,
I guess.
you know.
Yeah, in a packet that you can give them and say, here's your packet.
Right,
Fill all of
exactly.
this out, not having to run and chase them down later down the road, I guess
Yeah.
is my whole.
Yep, so we could add, an additional, I think, once we figure out what we wanna do with the temporary use permit and how we want that to look, because there are some gaps in there, holes, it doesn't necessarily make much sense. But on my business registration application, it has like, have you secured a sign permit? And then they check yes or no, and that tells me, like, hey, we'll stop here, we'll chat about the signs, and I'll send
Okay.
you Brian's contact.
Perfect.
And I can do that for temporary use, and I'll just do yes, no, or NA if it doesn't apply.
Perfect.
So we can do that, so that I can say, okay, here's an application for this, you'll need to fill this out as well, and then run through that with them, and just, I'll be like, kind of the person who spearheads, like, don't forget
You're
about
the
this,
organizer.
don't forget about this. Yeah.
Yes.
Because
The
like
hand
I do the
holder.
same-
I know,
I do the
I
same
know.
for like the sanitarian for food inspections, like,
Right,
it's not necessarily our responsibility, but we're like, hey,
you're gonna
don't
need,
forget, you need to go over and speak with the sanitarian to get your health inspection, for a food vendor. Or like the state stuff, like make sure you give us a copy of your state license.
Do you require that before issuing the registration? Perfect.
Yep, that is something new that we started, when we did the application. The new updated application is like, if we're requiring all of these things for short-term rentals, it's like making sure that we are carrying over. Like we've always said, don't forget you need this, don't forget you need to do these things. But requiring them before they get their, certificate now is something that we're doing.
no, that's great, I don't think admin needs to do anything else with that part of it then.
And I think that's in the registration ordinance too, where it's like any applicable
Yep.
permits, inspections, et cetera, are required before
Okay.
getting your registration.
Yeah, for us, it was just really, like, we don't really know, like, coming in, like, when I started, I certainly didn't, like, what are the things that these businesses need
To be in
to be in
business,
business?
right,
You know, so like, it's, as I've been here longer, like, we kind of know now, like, so we'll start asking for those to make sure that we have them, for new businesses coming in and just being really consistent on having the certain things for certain businesses, like contractors who get their contractor's license and stuff like that.
When you, send me the registration application for STRs, can you just send me all of them? Any applications you have, or if they're different, and then that way we can kind of.
The application for short-term rentals is completely online.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the one for business registration, or I can take a screenshot of what the application online.
I'll be going through it a lot this week.
I was gonna say, you're probably pretty familiar.
I'm pretty familiar with it. And again, I'm gonna be doing that probably on Thursday. That's gonna be my day.
So,
Let me know if you need deliveries.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so many. No, I need to do them right, sorry.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll just keep, I know we're kind of out of time, so, I'll, try to go back through too and, just review everything as well, but thank you, Chelsea, for continuing to
Yeah.
help with this.
Really
We
appreciate it,
really
'cause I
appreciate it.
couldn't do that.
Formed.
I know, well, no, and a lot of this, I know, we really appreciate it, kind of like, the summer is, I know we're just like, all so busy in the summer, it's kind of crazy, so,
I also greatly appreciate it. I had to work on it, and it was a huge undertaking.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And thank you for all you do, guys, to
Yeah.
keep, keep moving forward with it.
Like,
And keep it clear for the
well, I do. I'm a
customers,
manager.
whatever you wanna call them, vendors, citizens.
How do we cover our asses? All I do for a living, how do I cover my ass?
yeah, that's what I do in insurance for
Yep.
other people.
Yep.
Okay, so you're gonna need this, and this, and this, and this, and don't forget if this happens, you're gonna need this, you guys.
Yeah, do you wanna adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, adjourned.